Philippians 4 verse 4 is a biblical passage that says, "Rejoice in the Lord always, again I say, rejoice." This passage is part of the letter that the Apostle Paul wrote to the Christians in Philippi. Before explaining this blessed passage, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel and like this video to help reach more people and be blessed with this word. Now let's explain. In this passage, Paul is encouraging Christians to always rejoice in the Lord, regardless of their circumstances. He is emphasizing that joy should be a constant feature of the Christian life, even in the midst of difficulties and trials. The joy Paul is talking about here is different from the superficial happiness we often seek. This joy comes from the Lord and is rooted in our trust and faith in God. It is a joy that transcends circumstances and remains constant even in difficult times. Paul repeats the phrase, rejoice, to emphasize the importance of this attitude of constant joy. He's saying that even though he's talked about this before, it's important to remind the Philippian Christians of the importance of joy in their lives. In addition to emphasizing the importance of joy in the Christian life, Philippians 4 verse 4 also has a specific context within the letter that Paul wrote to the Christians in Philippi. Paul was facing difficult circumstances at the time he wrote this letter, including being in prison for his faith in Christ. However, he was writing to the Philippians to encourage them and give them direction for their Christian life. In the section before Philippians 4 verse 4, Paul talks about the importance of the peace of God in our lives. He says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Philippians 4 verses 6 to 7. So when Paul tells the Philippians to rejoice in the Lord always in Philippians 4 verse 4, he is connecting that joyful attitude with the peace of God that he just talked about. Joy and peace are closely related, as it is difficult to experience one without the other. Furthermore, joy in the Christian life is not a superficial or temporary emotion, but something that must be lasting and deep. It is a joy that is based on the presence of God in our lives and the hope we have in Christ. Another possible interpretation of Philippians 4 verse 4 is that joy is a choice we make in our Christian lives. Regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in, we can choose to rejoice in the Lord. This choice is not an easy one and may require us to change our perspective on the difficulties we face. Furthermore, the joy in the Christian life is something that must be shared with others. When we are joyful in the Lord, it can encourage and inspire those around us. Joy is also a way of witnessing our faith in Christ to the world. Paul continues to emphasize the importance of joy and peace in Philippians 4 verses 5 to 7, encouraging Christians to be gentle, not anxious, and to present their requests to God in prayer with thanksgiving. He also talks about the importance of thinking about things that are true, noble, just, pure, lovely, of good report, virtuous and praiseworthy, instead of focusing on negative things. This passage is a powerful reminder for Christians that our joy must be based on our faith in Christ and His presence in our lives. Regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in, we can choose to rejoice in the Lord and share that joy with others. Joy is one of the hallmarks of the Christian life and a source of strength and encouragement in facing life's difficulties. Philippians 4 verse 4 has a very relevant application today. We live in a world where negative news seems to be ever present and people can easily feel discouraged, anxious and sad. But as Christians, we are called to have a different perspective on life. Instead of focusing on the negative things, Philippians 4 verse 4 reminds us to choose to rejoice in the Lord always. This means that no matter what circumstances we find ourselves in, we can find joy in our faith in Christ. This doesn't mean that we will never experience sadness, pain, or difficulties, but that we can find strength and hope in the midst of these difficult things. Furthermore, our joy should be a source of encouragement to others. When we rejoice in the Lord, it can be a powerful witness to those around us. This can inspire and encourage people who are struggling in their own lives. Finally, Philippians 4 verse 4 reminds us that our joy is based on the presence of God in our lives and the hope we have in Christ. As Christians, we are sure that God is with us at all times and that we have an eternal hope in Christ. This hope should give us strength and encouragement amidst life's difficulties. In short, Philippians 4 verse 4 is Paul's exhortation for Christians to always rejoice in the Lord, an attitude that should be constant and deep. This joy is closely related to the peace of God he mentions earlier in the letter and is based on our faith in Christ. If you were blessed with this biblical passage, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the videos. See you later.